All right, Ubisoft is making an extraction shooter. Now, obviously, this is talking about the new Division Heartland game. Let's go ahead and check out this footage and see what it has to say.
What if Ubisoft made their own version of Escape from Tarkov, an extraction game from a AAA development studio? Well, if you like the sound of that, then you might be in luck. But if you're waiting for the Division 3 though, it's likely you're going to be waiting a long time, as Ubisoft recently said that they've got no plans for it. What they do have plans for though is this Tarkov-like game called Division Heartland.
I'm already liking it. I'm all for it. Let's go, baby.
And this one is set in the Division universe, but it offers up something different from what the franchise has delivered in the past. And recently, Ubisoft blew the lid off this game and gave us a deep dive into it. And from first impressions, it looks like it's shaping up to be pretty interesting. So I thought that I'd go over everything that we know about this game so far. Heartland is an extraction shooter, and if you think about it, the Division, in a way, has always been known for having extraction elements, as the Dark Zone was their PvP.
As I was saying, Dark Zone was the OG of extraction looter shooters. You can quote me on that. Go back and look at my previous video of Heartland.
PvE component. It was a risk versus reward with AI and other players both trying to stop you extracting anything that you found in the zone. Heartland is pretty similar. It's a PvPvE experience, so you're going to be fighting both AI and other real players. The setting though is probably the biggest departure from the Division that we knew in the past, because this time the game has gone rural. Players will be headed to a town called Silver Creek, and you still play as a Division agent, but this time you've been tasked with protecting Silver Creek from enemy factions, rogue agents, and of course the deadly contamination. Red Storm Entertainment, who are the developers behind this game, said that they want players to see how the green poison affects towns in Middle America that perhaps didn't get the support that the big cities did. Kind of a cool narrative.
God, this looks so good. I can't wait to play this. The graphics obviously need an update, but I am so excited. I've always loved Division, and I love their looting system. I can't wait to play this game and get my hands on some loot.
And it fits directly into the Division timeline, and initially your role as an agent will be to set up a base of operations in the town. This will act as your hub that you will start and end any exfiltrations at. By day you will be scavenging, but when it turns to evening time, the town will go into high alert, and this is when you're going to encounter other players as well as difficult AI bosses. Of course, just like any extraction game, the goal is to loot as much as you can and survive. And as you play through the game and hopefully survive, you'll get the option to pick one of three classes: the Weapons Expert, the Medic, or Survivalist. Weapons Expert gives you a stationary...
You already know I'm going to be picking Weapons Expert all the way, baby.
...that will attack nearby enemies, as well as something called Tracking Shot that marks enemies once you've damaged them. Survivalist, on the other hand, that will give you a UAV drone you can use to scan around for enemies, and you can also get nearby loot crates highlighted. Crafting will be a big...
Okay, I see you out here. I might go with that one too. We'll see. Might end up playing all of them. Who knows?
...part of this game too. As you're looting or scavenging, you're going to be finding parts such as metals or electronics. These parts can be used to craft items such as weapons, ammo, or consumables. You'll also need to prepare your go bag, which is basically your loadout, and this includes your weapon, mods, and armor. Remember though, whatever you find out in the Heartland isn't yours until you've extracted it. Just like any extraction game, you need to be prepared that if you take in certain guns, you may lose them if you die. That's the risk and reward. Each time you successfully extract, you open up new parts of the map and you have more missions available to you. The town of Silver Creek also has a pretty deadly and unpredictable contamination, and lots of areas of the map will be inaccessible unless you've got a filtered mask. And using this, you can head into the contaminated zones that may have some good loot for you to grab and extract with. These masks will deplete pretty quick though, so some areas may require multiple. That means that planning is required, and if you want to head into certain contaminated areas, you got to be ready, especially as they're said to be dynamic. And it makes sense really that contamination would not just restrict itself to one area, so it can expand and move. It does mean though that certain routes or areas may be blocked to you in certain situations, especially if you don't have one of those masks on you. It's not just the contamination that you need to worry about though. In Heartland, hydration is also something that you now need to think about. Your character can get dehydrated if you don't drink enough, and this gives you debuff.
I think they're adding elements of the survival mode from Division 1 in here. That's what I didn't want to see happen, but you know, I guess given the hardcore of survivability and extraction looter shooter, I guess we were expecting it, right?
Buffs including a slower movement speed, and you'll need to find fresh, uncontaminated water to remove that debuff and get hydrated. If you've played any Division game, the Heartland is going to immediately feel familiar to you. The character movements, shooting, and even the UI are all largely the same, with a few tweaks here and there for Heartland specific features. That's not a bad thing though, in my opinion. It gives players a familiar experience while offering up something fresh. Extraction shooters, as I'm sure you know, are big right now. And like I mentioned before, the Division was doing it a long time ago with the Dark Zone. And Heartland is really taking that same concept and turning it into its own standalone.
I knew they were going to do it, man. I knew they were going to do it. I said to myself, I said, Division, you were the OG of this in Dark Zone. With the genre blowing up of extraction looter shooters, this would be the perfect opportunity for them to take Division and that extraction looter shooter element and completely branch out with it. And I think that's what we're getting here.
Game. And yes, it is going to be free to play. If I had one concern, I'd say that it's the setting. I don't know about you, but New York was such an incredible setting visually. And that's where you spent all of the time in the very first Division game. Graphics were just insane. And I felt that the Snowdrop engine was really able to make that city feel alive, which is ironic after the virus, I know. I didn't quite get the same feeling with the Division 2. Washington, for me personally, just wasn't quite as visually impressive. I didn't get the same wow factor that I did in
It's not in real life either. I was pretty disappointed when I went.
the first game when I was running around New York. But then the Warlords of New York DLC came out and you were able to go back there. And I think for me, it really hit home how impressive that setting was. Of course, the game can work in a rural setting too, but will it be as interesting? Can the gameplay hold up on its own? I hope so. I'd love to play it soon. Now, wrapping things up, based on what we've seen online recently, it seems as though extraction games have been pretty high up on Ubisoft's games concept for quite a while now. There was a post on 4chan from a supposed playtester who revealed that one of the recent cancelled Ubisoft games was a Splinter Cell extraction game, and that definitely piqued my interest.
Ooh.
And also kind of makes me sad, as I do love that franchise. But as with any of these rumors or leaks, then you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. But what they said was pretty alluring. It was called Splinter Cell Hunters, and it featured several operators, customizable classes, and a nighttime map that was set in Washington. Players would work as a duo and hunt high-value targets while also dealing with AI and other players. It was seemingly based on the Spies vs. Mercs multiplayer. That's an awesome game mode that was in previous Splinter Cell titles. And then once you'd killed the high-value target, you would loot caches and try to extract. As a Splinter Cell fan, I'm gutted that
looks
this
cool.
will never see the light of day. If it was real, if it even existed in the first place. I digress. As for
I miss the Splinter Cell games, to be honest. I need to go back to them.
Heartland, though, the developers mentioned that it will have a closed PC beta coming up, so players are going to be able to get their hands on the game soon, hopefully in the next few months.
And we've already signed up for
It's
it.
due for release this year at some point on PC and console. I feel like it's definitely one to watch, though, as it appears to be building on a lot of what made the Dark Zone in the original Division game so interesting in the first place. And I'm going to make you feel old now. That game released in 2016. Only feels like yesterday, doesn't it? But my point is that since then, there's been a multitude of new extraction games, including all sorts of interesting mechanics and gameplay types, from Hunt Showdown to The Cycle, Escape from Tarkov, and even Call of Duty having a crack at it recently with DMZ. So
Again, DMZ is not exactly the same as an extraction looter shooter based game. It's more of like an open sandbox extraction looter shooter, if we're being honest here. And if you guys recently checked out my one of my most recent reaction videos of Call of Duty Warzone, a DMZ now being paid to win, go check that out, because that is exactly what it has become, and they completely ruined it on their own.
So fingers crossed that the devs have had time to look at what makes these type of games good and find a fun formula and a way to put that all together for Heartland in the Division universe. I wish them luck, and it's certainly a tough nut to crack. But with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Do let me know your thoughts on this game down in the comments below. How you feeling about this one? Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, a dislike if you didn't, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Absolutely. Yeah, so like I said, we already signed up for the playtest for the Ubisoft Extraction Looter Shooter, which is going to be Division Heartland. And I cannot wait to get my hands on it and get the gameplay out to you guys so you can see it for yourself. Like I said, they are the OGs of the Extraction Looter Shooter back in the Dark Zone on D1 with that concept. So I'm really glad they actually took the idea and branched out and made the game idea with it, given the blow up of the recent Extraction Looter Shooter genre. Hey guys, if you like the video, make sure you head over to the page, hit that like button, scroll over, smash that subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get notified for future video drops, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.